And it's been a wild night, and that wild night, it ended right here on the back streets in 8 Mile, Alabama. Are you guilty of any of the crimes that they say that you are accused of?
The DJ's grocery, I'm a man about mine. I'm not lying, I'm not denying anything.
Were you high on drugs?
Yes, sir, and I wasn't, and I put a lot of people's lives at risk, and I wasn't thinking about that.
Are you high right now, Richard?
Coming down now because I've done a run.
We've moved here down the causeway to show you another area that's been affected by this morning's storms. Take a look here and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Right now, you'll notice it's not really raining out here on the causeway. The problem right now is the wind. So where do you get started? The first step is having a phone that you own outright, free of any contract like the one I'm on here. We want to know if people recognize these 4 individuals, so let's go find out.
No one but Miss Hillary Clinton.
You're from London. I need to know, do you recognize any of these people?
That's Hillary.
I'm willing to bet I got all 3 of you guys beat. I'm on a new service called Ting, and I bet my bill is lower than yours. What's Ting? Well, Ting is this new pay-as-you-go model. We're going to be talking about it more later on in our series this week. Some of these fans have been waiting in line for 2 days since Tuesday afternoon to get into the theater to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Live in our newsroom with more. JB?
Mel, I have it right here. 153 pages of evidence painting Dr. Couch and Dr. Rawan of PPSA in Mobile as painkiller drug lords in the eyes of federal authorities.
First on 5, doped up on meth, a dangerous criminal tears through Mobile County on a high-speed chase and is finally captured by deputies in 8 Mile. Richard Phillips, wanted for a string of robberies in Alabama and Mississippi, attempted to escape into the woods, but was dragged out by a police dog. Moments later, News 5 arrived on the scene and a wounded Phillips requested to speak on camera. News 5's JB Biunno, the only reporter on the scene, and interviewed Phillips last night. Good evening, JB.
Good evening, Roseanne. Phillips was in court this morning after his fast and furious joyride through 8 Mile last night with the cops hot on his trail. But when we interviewed Phillips on the scene, shirtless, bleeding, and high on meth, his demeanor was the opposite of what we were expecting.
If I don't get another chance, that'll be my fault, and I can't blame no one but me.
Troubled, remorseful, and broken, we were expecting a menacing criminal. Instead, a tearful Richard Phillips spilled a lifetime full of regret.
I hope that it's not too late for me, man, to get another chance in life, to be there for my son. Like, I promised that I would always never put him through what my parents put me through.
With fresh wounds from the police dogs that dragged him from the woods, Phillips admitted his relentless addiction to methamphetamine. During the chase tonight, all through these roads over the last several hours, were you high on drugs?
Yes, sir, and I wasn't, and I put a lot of people's lives at risk, and I wasn't thinking about that.
Are you high right now, Richard?
I'm coming down now because I've done a run, and I've done that.
Though apologetic, don't let appearances fool you. Phillips was labeled armed and extremely dangerous this week after an alleged robbery spree, knocking over store after store in Alabama and Mississippi.
I did them crimes, I'm saying. I was wrong for that, and I'm sorry for that.
That crime run came to an end when Phillips crashed in 8 Mile and failed to escape right outside Robin Coley's home.
I mean, it's very scary. We have small children. It just, like I said, he's remorseful because he was caught. And I hope and pray, and we will all pray for his little boy. I hope he gets the help he needs.
Phillips appeared before a judge coincidentally right after his alleged accomplice, Destiny Ann Worth, on Friday morning. But by this time, he had spoken his piece. The fugitive who terrified families on the Gulf Coast, offering these choice words to anyone who would listen.
This meth is nothing, man. It's the devil's drug. You hear me? And I run around, I do this stuff, man. And I wish I would just die every day, But I don't want to die. And I this goes out to all the kids out there. Please, man. Do not mess with meth. Do not mess with drugs. Do the right thing.
Now, the gun that Phillips reportedly threw out the window during the high-speed pursuit has not been recovered. Also, another suspect who bailed on Phillips out of the car into the woods is also still on the loose. As for Phillips himself, Roseanne, he faces numerous charges here in Alabama. He'll have to appear and answer to those charges before likely being extradited to Mississippi to answer to the charges in George County.
News 5's coverage of the tragedy on the bay continues. Since Sunday, you've probably seen this incredible video shot by sailor Josh Edwards. The GoPro shows Edwards' boat violently tossed back and forth by the wind and waves. While those on the boat fought to stay aboard, they spotted another sailboat struggling in the distance, and then it quickly disappears from sight.
Well, Edwards wasn't sure those people made it out of the storm alive, but he got his answer yesterday. News 5's JB Biunno was there the moment he learned the news, in a story you'll see only on News 5.
Your crew in jeopardy.
This is the phone call Joshua Edwards was praying for.
I have had nightmares worried about that boat.
Edwards was the one who brought us this look inside Saturday's storm with his GoPro camera.
Oh, turn down, Mom, turn down.
In that video, Edwards spots another boat. But the storm's intensity proves to be too much, and the boat quickly vanishes. It's a visual that would haunt Edwards for 2 days, until this moment.
Because that's the only boat that we saw, and I was terrified that they went in the water and that they were missing and we were right there.
Through some local connections, he learns that this small boat was one of the 10 that sank in Mobile Bay. But as he just learned, the 3 on board survived. They were rescued from the water.
We were okay, and we made it. Not everybody did. And it was really getting at me to not know if they were ones that made it or not. And it's a huge relief to hear from them.
Since the video made it to YouTube, it's been in the national spotlight, appearing all over the country. But for Edwards, the video represents something more than just a headline.
It was the scariest thing I've ever been through. It hands down is the scariest thing I've ever been through.
As terrifying as it was, this won't be the last time Edwards is on the water. Are you going to compete next year?
I'll compete every year. I'll still sail every chance I get. I'll still race everything that we're available to race, and
But this was the worst.
This was the worst we've ever been through, but it's not going to deter us from doing what we love.
Edwards is grateful to be alive. He has read the comments on Facebook from folks criticizing that not everyone on board his boat put on life vests when the storm hit, but I want to show you some video here from the web center from that GoPro video. Here's his mom. He puts the life vest right around her neck, but moments later, watch what happens. Whoop! The wind blows it away, so obviously the conditions were quite extreme, but he did admit in retrospect that the life vests should have been a higher priority. In the web center, JB Biunno, News 5.
In the Web Center tonight, a look at where our 911 calls go. A recent investigative report by USA Today exposed flaws in 911 centers across the country, showing that calls from cell phones can oftentimes go to the wrong place. We sent News 5's JB Biunno to our local 911 center to dig up the facts. JB, this report is focusing on where you're calling from on your cell phone.
Yeah, Pete, basically it suggests that if you call from a wireless phone near a county line, sometimes your call will connect to a cell tower in the wrong county with the wrong agencies responding. So to investigate, we got a closer look at the technology in Mobile County's 911 center. When you call 911 in Mobile County,
Mobile County 911, what's the location of the emergency?
The calls are answered here at the 911 call center in Mobile. 24/7 operators are on standby, taking about 1,000 phone calls a day. But what if you call for an emergency on the Bayway or the Causeway? Does your call go here or to Baldwin County?
It's all based on the cell towers.
Director Gary Tanner says the 911 call is routed to the county where the connecting cell tower is located. So if you're sent to an operator in the wrong county, you're rerouted to the correct county's 911 center, which, as we learned in an emergency, can take away precious seconds.
Yes, it could be a matter of seconds, and of course seconds means life in some cases, yes.
But all 911 calls locally triangulate your position the moment you call from your wireless phone. Tanner says with the help of cell carriers, this is state of the art.
It does not always hit the spot where they are, but it's usually within 50 to 100 feet of that individual.
Inside the center, we were given a demonstration.
That's where we go.
It worked, but we requested some tests of our own. So we went around town and called 911 to get our location.
911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, this is JB from News 5. Can you tell me my location?
Yes, sir. I'm showing 5720 USA Drive North.
In each of our tests, a precise triangulation was given the moment we phoned in. And as we were shown, you can text 911 these days too. Overall, the technology is flawed a bit near county lines on a wireless phone, but your coordinates are pinpointed the moment you call in. So no matter which county you're routed to on a 911 call, they know where you are. Now, the experts also said that the cell phone triangulation depends on your quality of service. That means that the better of a carrier you have, the better they can pinpoint your location in the case of an emergency. Live in the Web Center, JB Biunno, News 5.
A story that's getting national attention tonight. A strange twist to the savage triple murder of a family in Pensacola that has even shocked investigators. It sounds bizarre, but the Escambia County Sheriff says witchcraft is involved in the murders of an elderly woman and her 2 sons. News 5's JB Biunno joins us live from the Web Center. And JB, I understand there's a person of interest in this case. But there's another piece of the puzzle that's been uncovered.
There is, Mel. As if the story wasn't crazy enough, we've learned that the bodies were found laid out for some kind of ritual murder, and one of the sons found brutally murdered with his family was a key member of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It was inside this Pensacola home where Escambia Sheriff's deputies made a startling discovery, one that even left Sheriff David Morgan at a loss for words. 3 bodies, each of them mutilated in the same way, found arranged in a ritual killing.
It's witchcraft. I'll say that right now. You know, there are different factions of that.
77-year-old Von Seal Smith and her 2 sons, Richard and John.
Both of the sons are very large men, meaning very tall, obviously potentially very physically powerful men.
Killed on a special night in some witchcraft lore.
You know, the time of death, we believe, on Tuesday also coincides with what's referred to as a blue moon, which occurs every 3 years.
All 3 were found savagely beaten in the same way, but Richard Smith was found with a gunshot wound to the head. It was later discovered Richard was a critical member of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, high up enough that Sheriff Morgan had to work with U.S. government officials.
We felt it, practicing due diligence and prudence to ensure that they were comfortable with the fact that because of his employment, there was no issues involving national security.
The Smith family were said to be wealthy but reclusive, living in this home for 27 years.
Neighbors have related to us that they've never met members of this family.
And this witchcraft ritual murder was far from a smash and grab robbery.
But there was a sizable amount of cash found at the house inside a safe that was not taken.
Detectives are still working the case, but have a person of interest. He's described as a white male with specific ties to a faction of witchcraft.
The time of the blue moon every 3 years, the method of the murders, and also our person of interest is known to practice.
A triple ritual murder with signs of witchcraft, a key member to the Department of Homeland Security, and a mysterious person of interest. All key parts of the puzzle coming out of Pensacola. Now, as for the discovery of the bodies and how they were found, we've determined that the details, they're just too gruesome for broadcast. If you want to learn more, we do have the details up from investigators on WKRG.com. You can find it right here behind me in the web story. Mel, Sheriff Morgan acknowledged this is a complex, multi-layered case that they've spent days dissecting before today's press conference. We're going to follow this story very closely out of Pensacola and update our WKRG Facebook fans as soon as new information is available.
And we thank you very much, JB.